There we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tears Don't Fall, the show where every week we pick a band and subject each other to its entire discography. We then present you, the viewer, with our subjective tiered lists for you to vote on whose tiered list is objectively correct. I'm Connor O'Keen.
I'm Luke Ashley.
And you picked this week's.
I did. I have chosen Machine Frickin' Head.
Machine Frickin' Head.
Frickin' Head. I'm pretty sure that's what they say at all the crowds.
Yeah.
Machine Frickin' Head. If they're from space.
Big burly comes with you. Machine Frickin' Head.
Yes. Very excited to do this one. This is a long-suffering artist at the butt of many of our gags, for better or worse.
I think for the most part.
For a multitude of reasons, including how venerable they are in our community as well.
For the most part, it's with peace and love,
yes,
I would say.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's very exciting for myself to finally bite the bullet and take Machine Head on. This is a band, if I may jump straight into
please go into
my history with Machine Head. When I was in my formative heavy years, there are a few albums that stood out to me and really drew my attention from the lighter side and into the heavier sphere. Yeah. From power metal into American thrash. Mm-hmm. And Machine Head's The Blackening was possibly the catalyst for myself getting into American metal. Yeah, sure. Shortly after its release, I think I would have dipped my toes into that album about 6 months after its release. Mm-hmm. And it was so crushing, but I couldn't get enough of it. Mm. And from there, they quickly became my favorite band. Okay. For a time. This would have been when I was about 16, I think. Yep. You know, those awkward high school years before you hit your awkward 30s years that we're in now. So, it's going back into that mindset. I think this might be a similar position to where you were with Slipknot. Mm. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. To frame where we are at. Yeah, all right. So, yes. I'll be very fragile.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I can't wait. Because I've got some fucking just like ice cold takes. Shit takes. It's going to be awesome.
Good, because I hit you with that hammer. So, that 10-time hammer.
Because similarly, I got into Machine Head around that age as well. It was 2008. All Hope Is Gone had come out, Slipknot's fourth album, and Slipknot were touring with Machine Head as the support band. So I saw them on the bill and went, I didn't end up going to that show because I was quite young, didn't have anyone else who wanted to go with me. I didn't want to go alone. But I did look into Machine Head on the back of that billing. And of course, the Blackening had come out the year before, and I heard Halo for the first time, and it was similar where it was like, this is crushingly heavy, probably darker sounding, and less reliant on just angst to communicate a sense of darkness, but also super melodic. It was the first thing outside of like Iron Maiden for me to make me prick up my ears and go, ooh, twin guitar harmonies. Yes. Went kind of down the rabbit hole from there. I don't know if they ever became like a favorite band in the same way that Slipknot was for me, but pretty reliably enjoyable band for me from then on out. I think it wasn't until the Locust came out where I was kind of in on the ground floor that I was like, I'm a real Machine Head fan, and I really got into them off the back of that.
We always talk about how important it is to be at ground zero when the album drops. And you get to experience the anticipation in the air and be a part of the conversation.
And that was we'll get into that as we get to that album in particular. But that was an interesting one to be on the ground floor for because of how monumental The Blackening was. I think it's still one of the first albums to get brought up in the conversation about 2000s, monumental metal releases. Yes. I think the thing about Machine Head is, and this is where I think we'll have some of the most fun tonight, is talking about their brief foray into butt rock ass nu metal. because I was a big butt rock ass nu metal fan, and I still have a bit of a soft spot and an affinity for it.
Don't show too many of your cards.
No, I won't. But I think that's where we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
Sure,
is discussing those most contentious releases.
Because it's something that we've discussed Machine Head very often and stated, but not so much some of these albums in detail.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to finally hear some deeper takes.
Yeah, some of them I think we've avoided talking about.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We'll find out why.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Shall we take it from the top? You want to start us off?
Absolutely.
All right,
let's start with
let's do it.
Machine Head's debut release. And what a release it is. It is Burn My Eyes, 1994. All these bands we've been hitting that have their debut release on a massive record, and often Roadrunner records as well.
I was going to say, Roadrunner for a time was really had its ear
on
to
the ball.
Ear to the ground.
Yeah. And Burn My Eyes was a very, very sizable debut release for them to have. It was the most successful until Slipknot's debut release.
Yeah.
So it held out for, what was that, 90? It was late 90s. So they had at least 3 years where this was their most successful debut.
Yeah, Slipknot debut was 99.
No, 5 years, yeah. Which is really... explains it. I think it says itself how well received and well loved this album is. Just for context, I don't want to do this, but chat's already demanding. So
I was going to say
we're getting the tits out because when I was freshly 18, I wanted to mark some metal purity on my body.
We need full screen view for this one, my boy.
Oh god,
yeah, baby.
And I've had my years of shame with it, but hey, here we are. We're back to full circle.
Yeah, no shame. I live vicariously through this tattoo. I might be bald, but I'm not as bald as this tattoo. Woo-hoo. There it is, right in time to let's put it right when the shotgun blast. There it is.
I was like, well, I've got to pick an album that's going to stay with me and for the rest of my life. And I went, well, at 18, gotta pick something. Shit. Let's go Burn My Eyes.
Gotta get your pull somehow.
This album's
absolutely based.
This album is would have been about 15 years old already by the time I got it. So I go, well, it's proven the test of time.
Yeah.
And that was its midlife to where we are now in 22. So how does it hold?
How does it hold?
How does it hold?
There you go.
My man. It's an S for sizzling. I can't sing anything but praise for this release still.
Okay.
And it was very exciting to go back to. It's a runtime of 56 minutes, I believe.
55, yeah, 55 and a half, 56,
yeah. And the whole thing has aged so well. It's pretty remarkable, considering some of the influences. Going from ex-thrash bands coming together, Rob Flynn with Violence, bringing in Adam Juice on bass, Chris Kontos on the drums, which, oh my lord, only here for one record, but does he own this record?
He does, and he lays the groundwork for
absolutely
the Machine Head sound on drums.
The drum work is so creative. Never goes for the easy option, and has left a very high watermark for expectations of what a drummer should do with this band.
Yep.
Props to you, Chris. And did return for their 25th anniversary of this album, which was their most recent release as well.
Yep.
Not a studio album, just worth mentioning as we do discuss this.
Yeah. And he doesn't miss a beat.
Produced by Colin Richardson. Wow. Having such massive names on this from the get-go, it's easy to see why it succeeded, but for it to maintain, at least in my mind, this album maintains relevance in its entirety. Except maybe A Nation on Fire could be a bit shorter. That's probably the only song where I might listen to it and go, or I'm sort of hanging out for the last minute where it just does this hardcore punk.
Yeah, totally.
A hard, fast minute.
Yep.
We reconnected at Machine Head Live.
We did too.
The first time I saw Connor Bold was an evening of Machine Head. And they performed some really, really old material off Burn My Eyes, which I don't believe they do often either, which was Blood for Blood.
Yeah, wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they did it live,
awesome.
and I don't think it's very common. I was shocked because it is a fucking massive track.
Yeah, it is a banger. For sure.
So they would have undoubtedly played Davidian and Old as well, live staples, and staples to my own repertoire.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I was pretty scared coming into this record for this listing because it's got big shoes to fill. And
like nostalgia-wise?
Yeah, and this was like clown feet into toddler shoes. Dude. Like, this album fills them out and then some.
Awesome.
An absolute delight.
Hey.
So much material off the Elegies DVD as well that drew me into this. Hearing them still perform so many classics off their set, such as Block.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
Really cool. They've got real mastery over their instrumentation, and the recordings are still, I think they hold up really well.
Yeah.
This is Machine Head, I'd say, at some of their best. They're willing to innovate and mix styles in a forward-thinking way. And this is something that Machine Head may not always do. But here, taking something that's still relevant, which is, the New American groove, mixing that with thrash, and being in charge of that style.
Yep.
You've also got, say, Sepultura around, Pantera dropping their second and third groove albums around this time. They're largely on the ground floor for this. They're not godfathers of what they're doing, but they're in a formative wave. And props to them for that.
Yeah.
Your
cool.
thoughts?
Look, I agree with just about everything you said there. But I had so much fun doing the Kill Switch list.
Yes.
Just letting the monkey off the leash and going, like, I can't stress enough that I appreciate the legacy that this album has, and I agree with everything that you said. But in terms of my personal enjoyment, I'm going based purely on what Machine Head albums I want to spin. And Burn My Eyes, more like Bore My Ears.
Whoa!
Yeah,
you nasty!
You are nasty, dude. We're doing like a good cop, dumb cop thing here, I think.
Dude.
I will say the things I like about it. The only reason it's at a B is because there are other albums that I will prefer to listen to sooner than this. But what I do like about it is you mentioned the production and stuff for it. I really like how fucking murky this album sounds. And I think it sounds exactly how that album art makes you think it would sound.
Yeah.
And the album art's fucking sick too. It's by, I can't remember his name, but it's an artist who he did some Fear Factory stuff. He did some Testament albums. He's done a bunch of metal albums, and he also did the artwork for the Batman Arkham Asylum comic. Very fucking cool. And I like too that it's kind of an unsettling artwork, and the production and stuff lends to this sense of almost like mystique around the band at this point. Like, I mean, for someone who's not certainly wasn't familiar with the band's pedigree in terms of violence and stuff like that. I don't know. It's got this like ugliness to it, similar to early Fear Factory and the first Slipknot album. It feels very
there's something
Roadrunner in the 90s.
A little bit Necronomicon Ex Mortis.
A little bit. But what I do find, the thing that makes me go back to it less is that a lot of these songs I do find myself going, wait, we're still on this track? And kind of tuning out and then tuning back in and going, oh, I'm still on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have that at all.
Yeah, I think the songs go places and have enough surprises to make repeat listens for for this, not a chore, which was good. But again, I'd rather be listening to stuff that comes later. Nation on Fire's thrash break at the end is cool.
Yes.
But
I'd say that's the only point for me.
Sure.
Where I do feel that.
Yeah.
But I was fine-tooth combing the riffs in this record, and I think they are all very deserving of their spot.
Yeah, cool.
Very little to cut.
I like too that the record has this kind of like jam room quality. I think Blood for Blood is a good example of that. And yeah, I like it. It's a very serious affair.
It is. They don't want you having too much fun.
They want you having too much fun. I mean, like
it.
Death Church and stuff is very fucking grim.
Yes.
But they're all fairly effective if a little long in the tooth, in my opinion. I think Block is a really fucking effective and bludgeoning closer, and I think it loops the album in a really nice way. In this age where we're listening through streaming services a lot of the time, Block finishes and it almost like it goes back into the drum roll of Davidian almost seamlessly, and you go, oh fuck, you know what? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, let's go again.
Yeah.
This album, the production and the writing approach are not particularly to my tastes for what I would expect. I do like a more crisp production. Typically, this is very dark. Like the guitar tones are incredibly dark, and there is a real rawness to all of the approach to songwriting. A lot of atmosphere through the guitar, building tension, and just general pinch harmonics or artificial harmonics or natural harmonics, string sliding, just creeping slowly. All these little industrial elements that I might expect more from something like, let's say, Fear Factory as a sort of a fan, like an uncle on the label.
Yeah, sure. I think no, that thought's gone. Did you have anything else to say?
Let's see if they keep it up.
Good thinking. Let's see. So what comes next?
Now, let's see what chat has to say about it as well.
Oh, true.
Do we have much on this chat?
Chat, thoughts on Burn My Eyes. Rid says, I never knew you had that, holy fuck, with regards to the tattoo. Sed says, Dad used to have this huge silky banner hung up in the house of the Burn My Eyes artwork. I miss seeing it.
Yeah.
Stepmom made him take it down years ago. I think she put it up back at Parks.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
That's... it is worth me saying that Burn My Eyes was and still retains, surprisingly for me, I wasn't expecting it to, a position in probably my top 25 metal albums.
Cool.
Which is more than I expected after the... let's say I haven't exactly been stoked to be a Machine Head fan over some of their years.
Yeah.
And this is one that I'll always be proud of regardless of where they go or who they are. This is one I can absolutely separate art from artist for and have so many positive and fond memories tied to this. Davidian was my go-to track for christening any speaker that I ever owned, or any pair of headphones. It'd be like, that would be my testing track.
That's cool.
To see, how the room sounded or how the system sounded.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I remember what I was going to say. I think the reason that I ranked this lower in terms of my own personal enjoyment is because my first exposure to Machine Head was Halo, and then my album that I was in on the ground floor for was Under the Locust, which is far cleaner and shinier sounding and modern sounding. And that's kind of what I like to hear from Machine Head. That's my Machine Head. Yeah. This is less so. Even though like the kind of groove metal centric sound that this has, I mean, shit, I'm a massive Lamb of God fan. Yeah. Like that's not a sound that I'm adverse to. It's just with Machine Head, I prefer what comes later.
Yeah. Sure. All
right. Speaking of what comes later.
Absolutely. Well, Cons, I'll wait for you to... Look, I'm going to save the tile puns for you here because I feel like if you're going to be sassy about this, I'll just let you have it.
No. I don't have... Hey, look, full disclosure, I don't have a pun for this one, so...
All right. Well, I'm curious to hear whether you think that this album does, in fact, stay the same. This is The More Things Change. More Things Change was 1997. And for everything that Burn My Eyes achieves, the more things change, the more they stay the same, imitates. What an amazing debut record, and what an ominous sign for their career to come. C for C in 10 years, Machine Head. This was one of the biggest shocks in the catalogue for me.
Really?
Yes, I spun this very, very fondly and very often as I did with all of Machine Head's discography, bar from a few more recent albums, this early, like the early 5 or 6 albums, were on constant rotation in my ears. Probably the discography I was most familiar with about 10 years ago. And looking back at this album in particular, there really is not... I can't find a mode for this album that serves me any differently than what Burn Your Eyes presents.
Sure.
So I feel like this record is, as a sophomore release, it doesn't present much that favors my styling. And I totally understand if people like this more than Burn My Eyes. If they are into a slower, more a further dark aesthetic and a more, say, sludge or doomy approach, or even more of a rock-centric approach. Because these riffs are so slow and weighted that you're always... I feel like this whole record is sitting behind the tempo, and like you just want to feel the weight down on that headbang. And it is a very headbang-centric record.
Definitely.
But that it feels like the only mode that I could tap for it. I did not particularly enjoy this as an active listen, which was really unfortunate because I do have really fond memories of particularly the first half of this record, and I do believe that is by far the stronger half. The first 3 tracks, Take Ton Hammer, Take My Scars, and Struck a Nerve, but even down to None Frontline, honestly, that front half is really powerful. And there are plenty of, or they may not be anymore, but for a time they were life staples and fan favorites. They definitely pull the technicality back on this release and let the atmosphere come forward. In theory, it's nice, but doesn't work as well for myself.
Yeah, sure.
It's the kind of thing putting it so low at a C surprises me. But I'm not particularly keen to come back to this record for a little while. I think maybe in 5 years, we'll see what happens. But for as many albums as Machine Head have, this one, unfortunately, does take a chopping block position.
Wow, okay. All right, well, I'm gonna let you down here. Because, I chuck it at an A. I like this. I'm more likely to come back to this than Burn My Eyes. I feel like true to the title, to the album's title, I think the opening salvo of tracks are way more succinct and impactful for that. I think like by track 4 we're back to
10 Ton Hammer is an insanely good way to open an album.
Fucking nuts way to open an album. And then the Take My Scars is only over 4 minutes. Struck a Nerve is one of my favourite Machine Head tracks, hands down. And clocks in at only 3.5 minutes. Down to None is where we get back into the kind of like dirgy tracks approaching, definitely 6 minutes. But I find them more memorable this time around. Down to None, Violate and Blood of the Zodiac are a couple of like album highlights for me. And I mean, Violate and Blood of the Zodiac are further back in the in the track listing. And I mean, I would still say the shorter tracks are where it's at for me in terms of like if I had to pick favorite Machine Head tracks, they're going to be 10 Ton Hammer and Struck a Nerve. But this is also the album where Dave McClain enters the fray.
It is.
And makes his presence felt, while also I think picking up where the previous drummer left off. I feel like he is not quite let off the leash yet. I think he's doing a good job of imitating the style that's established on Burn My Eyes. But I don't know. I think he does a really good job of it.
The most sincere form of flattery, perhaps, but they do stay the same. Too much for my liking.
Sure.
And that creativity that Consoles brings is not able to be replicated here.
Okay.
It's really unfortunate. I'm a massive fan of McLean's later work, and I really did expect more from what he would bring to this album. After Contos sets the bar so high, love you McLean to bits. Yeah, but it's tough. Yeah, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like, who knows?
I feel like the drums just take such a back seat after, like, they supply a groove, and they're excellent supplying a groove, but they're not demanding attention.
Oh man, like The Struck a Nerve drums in particular do demand my attention, especially on the back half of that track where it gets into the fucking come on, that shit. I'm just like, here we fucking go.
Nice.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think McLean's the like McLeanisms are yet to kind of shine through.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what the situation was on this album. Maybe he was told, hey, this is the formula. Stick to this for the time being, you know.
Yeah, could be. New blood.
Yeah.
Like prove that like we're on a you're coming into a label, you're coming into Roadrunner.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not take any wild risks here. Who knows? Who knows the inside scoop on that?
Yeah. Chat, thoughts on this album? Keel says, my old band used to play 10 Ton Hammer. We only needed one guitar to play 10 Ton Hammer, by the way. I just screamed it. Not very well, that is. Very nice.
Brilliant.
Have you ever covered a Machine Head track?
No, not live.
No, I've learned to fuck a fucking heap
we jammed to so much Machine Head as kids.
I've
so much material.
Learned a lot of stuff, a lot of Machine Head stuff, but never...
Take My Scars was a really common one to jam.
Cool.
Because you never go above the second fret for so much of it. That's this is a very chromatic release. And full and like jam-packed with dissonance.
Poyo Boyo says, I just took a call. Did I miss the back reveal? You did. You missed the back reveal.
That's okay. You can have it in person next time.
Shall we move on?
Yes, let's see if we can get this under an hour and a half this time.
Yeah, totally.
Treat the audience to a shorter episode.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Machine Head Burning Red. We Dr. Seuss in here.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Oh, yeah. Right, so... The Burning Red is 1999 and shows a very large divergence. Here, nothing stays the same. This is where I feel where Machine Head innovate with Burn My Eyes. They are in a loop of replicating. I feel like there isn't a great amount of forward thinking with The More Things Change, and I understand it is a very popular release and often a fan favorite. And then with Burning Red, this is the disaster zone. This is where most people jump ship. They're going, okay, we're in new metal hours, and if you have not seen Machine Head's wardrobe change and their attitude change, their lyrics change,
fucking significant.
Oh my lord, the lyrics are fucking crazy on this record, dude. I don't know if the band just got hit in the head with a 10-ton hammer or if they just railed way too much speed for a good 5 years or what happened.
It's possibly a combination.
Yeah, and a matter of chasing the... I feel like they're always just a few years behind the 8 ball on what the current trend is. Like new metal in '99, kind of there, but I mean, they're just not doing it as particularly as well, and it's certainly not as well received as new metal in '99 should be.
Well, I mean, new metal in '99, like that's the year Slipknot's self-titled came out. Korn is like probably 4 or 5 albums deep at this point. I want to say, yeah. Issues was their 4th album, came out in '99. I think they're doing new metal about as well as anyone else was at the time. It's just I don't think anybody wanted new metal from Machine Head. You know, Limp Bizkit's Significant Other came out this year.
Yeah,
you know, like
it's got a lot to compete with. Perhaps it was.
I don't think it's them like coming out with like imitating something. I think it's them participating in a current trend that perhaps they weren't suited to in many people's opinions. Yeah, you know.
Well, I'm gonna give this album a B for Biscuit. I never thought I'd give The Burning Red higher than The More Things Change. And I think that this is not the worst career choice for them. I'm shocked at myself for saying this, but it's a pretty fun record. It does something different, and I'm really entertained by this album. After probably about 5 to 10 years of feeling immensely guilty for Machine Head's new metal era, I come back to this record with a sense of appreciation, I'm able to turn off the voice inside my head and just enjoy this record.
Yeah, turn off the metal elitist in your head going,
And just
not
go-
true, not true.
And I'm having a lot of fun here,
Yeah.
and they are having a fuck ton of fun here.
Fucking A.
Wow. And
Fucking
this album has some of my favorite tracks on their discography on there as well. It features some powerhouse material. The title track, The Burning Red, is one of my favorite Machine Head songs easily.
Yeah, cool.
And it's not one that I ever hear celebrated or talked about, but I think it's some of the best stuff they've ever written.
Yeah, I mean...
And it suits...
I feel like they've played it live a decent amount of times. I think they played it live when we saw them.
Was it? I would have been in absolute tears. Yeah,
I might be mistaken.
No, quite possibly. I would have been way too drunk. By Blood, Sweat, the Tears on this record. Wow, that just those two by themselves. I feel like they lend enough legitimacy to this record to go, hey, you'll hang around for the record at least, right?
Yeah.
That's the trick. They'll just like stagger it through the album enough. This album for me, considered a B as something I'm happily willing to put on. But I feel it's very back and forth. It's on again, off again in how much filler there is on this record as well. I'd say there's too much filler for it to really be a good album, but there are too many good tracks for it to be an EP. So it sits in a funny ground. I'd say it's probably about 30. I was looking at all the tracks. I would go, oh, I think this should stay on the album, and got to about 36 minutes, which for a Machine Head album is not cutting the mustard at all.
No.
Their shortest album is 48 minutes.
Yeah.
They have... they've got people to bore over here, and they're doing it in excellent fashion with material like Devil with the King's Card.
Yeah, sure.
There are a few on here, a few a bit more
Okay.
stinker. From This Day, fucking hilarious. Sits
love it.
really well in this album.
I fucking
It's the
love
kind
it.
of track that I'll not ever go to as a single, but in the album it really works.
Okay.
Message in a Bottle. I fucking hate that cover, dude.
Okay.
It's like, God, I can't put it any other way. I'm like, why does this exist? Whose
Yeah.
idea was this? Why did this happen?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I guess someone wanted Sting's dick. And I think I know exactly who. Desire to Fire is fucking Stomp Central.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
5 is so heavy. Dude,
Huge,
5
dude.
into
5's fucking huge.
Burning Red
Yeah.
is so raw. I feel that it justifies the new metal element in a artistic sense rather than just a commercial sense.
Yeah, which is something like we've talked about this with nu metal before. Nu metal has this like arty pretension. It wants to be something more than butt rock ass nu metal a lot of the time.
Yeah. I feel
which
for
is always
about
strange.
10 minutes they almost make it work.
Right.
Well, for me they make it work.
Yeah,
for other
sure.
people
Sure.
probably not. But I go, this is how it can and should be done. So they that alone makes me happy to hang out for some of the stinkers on this record. This is the first record not produced by Colin Richardson, but he will be back for future releases, and it does show, definitely. But McLean's getting real dancey on those drums, dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Real
he is.
dancey, and he is fun.
Yep.
Cons, please.
Okay. So I feel like you're just going to. You're gonna be seeing Burning Red by the time we're done with these rankings, dude.
What have you done?
You see where Burn My Eyes is? Look where Burning Red is.
What
Dude,
the fuck's wrong with you,
I
guys?
fucking love this album, dude. Coming back to it, I was
pretty
like,
fun.
this is the first album in their discography, like listening to it in chronological order. Like I said, Burn My Eyes is a very serious, very, very, grim affair. More Things Change, more they stay the same. Still very grim. This, I'm smiling from bar one of Desire to Fire, dude, and I'm excited from here on out. I think Blood, Sweat, and Tears obviously is a fucking banger. The only tracks on here I don't like are probably Message in a Bottle, and I could do without Devil with the King's Card. But even that, I get into it. By the time it's coming into the last minute of that song, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. I have a lot of fun with this album, dude.
It's an album I never expect to enjoy as much as I do.
Yeah, yeah, and I lent into it on this because I figured, I mean,
that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
totally.
And I came back to it far more than I thought I was going to.
I did not foresee myself putting this at a B at all.
Yeah,
and I did have thoughts. Oh, what if it was higher? But
I will pay the.
I can't.
I think if you just got rid of Message in a Bottle and Devil with the King's Card, you'd have a
pretty strong
fucking
album.
sick 10-track album.
You would.
Yeah. Dude, McLean getting dancy with the beats on Blood, Sweat, Tears.
Yeah.
I love From This Day, dude.
It's so funny.
My god. Oh my god.
Wonderful.
Yeah, chat. Let's see what chat thinks.
I'll say this is an album that can and does take me on a journey when I don't want to, because I'll be up for a dancey album and chuck this on, then you're just ruined by the end of it. There's 10 minutes of trigger warnings.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think like talking about the lyrics and stuff on this album, I feel like this is the first album where we get very Rob Flynn, like very
personal
explicitly
history.
Yeah, very explicitly dealing with his personal history and working through some shit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's like a nu metal staple. So much of that is angst ridden. You know, genuine, whether or not people read it as genuine or not, it's a lot of it is dealing with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, he does. He is very deliberate in how transparent he wants to be with these tracks.
Yeah.
To a point that it's quite a struggle to go through some of the lyrics on this material from how forward it is.
Yeah,
at least
totally.
for myself, and I'm not one that's often affected, but it's.
But I think even when the lyrics are quite heavy in the truest sense of the word, I don't know, the music is kind of powerful and uplifting, and even if it is aggressive, it's chest thumping kind of music, which I think a lot of nu metal doesn't quite have. It has this kind of hip hop swagger, whereas this is this kind of this chest pumping kind of quality that I really, really like. It's knuckle dragging, you know.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I love this album, dude. Let's see what chat thinks. Says it's strange to hear. Says sadly I do not know this album like at all, but the title track is significant to me. Very nice.
Yes.
Kill says nu metal sellout. Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. And then follows that up with saying IMO Rob's rapping isn't that bad. No, he's good. And I like he does a lot of this. This is where he starts doing the like breathing through the teeth. And I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like it
dig
here.
that as well.
I really like
There's
it.
Machine Head they use their dynamic range very well through their discography, but especially the first few albums, because I am not really expecting that. Was not why I go to Machine Head, and then it's always an extra element that I enjoy in their material.
Yep.
Especially when there is less of a production value than, say, Locust or Blackening, where everything is so polished.
Blackening was
and
ain't.
Those the dynamic differences feel more of a production decision than something just personal and attitude focused.
Yeah. And this is also, not only do we get breathing through the teeth, we also get some and come on and shit like that, and I'm here for all of it.
The 1-2 fuck you.
Yeah, 1-2 fuck yous are good.
Yeah.
B for blood, sweat, tears, says Boyobo, not a bad placement. Says it's strange to hear that Machine Head declined, air quotes, when I'm only familiar with Locust plus Bloodstones. Feel like I'd enjoy most, if not all, of their discog, despite the genre change. I mean, it's. I feel like Machine Head is kind of similar to Killswitch that we did last episode, wherein they've got fairly distinct eras of the band.
They do.
But the sound in Killswitch doesn't really waver much, save for, one album. or that's more of a quality thing, and that's a personal taste thing more than anything. But here it's very
this is genre, like they are flirting with. You name a genre, they flirt with it.
Yeah,
whatever's trending, they appropriate that or bring that into their material. And turns out, doing that in something what of a counterculture environment, chasing what's trending and gelling that while trying to be super raw and real, doesn't always work for everyone.
No, it doesn't always work for everyone. And it doesn't always work for Machine Head, as much as I think it works for them here. Let's get supercharged! Hot dog, dude.
Now this is the infamous Machine Head album, Supercharger. This is surely one of the prime examples of how to fuck up an album release. Supercharger was released in October 2001. Their single track, Crashing Around You, released September 10th, 2001, featuring vistas of burning American city skylines. This lasted one night on Rage, or on their Headbangers Ball programs before the event, to which this album and Machine Head fell off the fucking edge of the earth. And it's just B for bad timing, because this is a way better album than I expected. Yeah, dude. This is
B for bad timing. I'm sorry. I don't think 9/11 is responsible for the poor reception of this album. I think it's bad timing. I think it's bad album.
I think it's bad timing.
Oh, Christ.
Because if you could get some joy out of Burning Red, I think Supercharger has plenty of monkey brain moments for you.
Sorry, I know we usually
to the point of yeah. I'm sorry. You want to activate monkey brain?
Hey!
There's your monkey.
We'll get to it. I'll show you my. You've shown me yours. I'll show you mine in a second. I know we usually leave chat until once we've done talking, but Anthony, my brother in Triple Kill, just commented, LeMayo, time to delete that song about invading Ukraine. Anthony, you gotta get his fucking TOS'd. Oh, Christ.
Oh, no.
All right. Plead your case.
Plead?
Yeah.
I have nothing to plead.
You have nothing to plead?
I have nothing to plead. Let's hit that track.
Have you been drinking fucking brown acid, dude?
What? Only for 58 seconds. Oh, sorry, 59.
Oh, God.
Yeah, look, an intermission ain't great, but Bulldozer's such a fun track.
Okay, Bulldozer is fun.
Great way to open an album.
Yeah, okay.
Just as good as Desire to Fire. Just as good.
Yeah.
Probably not in a live environment. If I hear Bulldozer live, I'd rather Desire to Fire.
Yeah.
But Bulldozer into White Knuckle Blackout is fucking awesome, dude. I really enjoy this, and this is new to me. I've never gotten much out of Supercharger. Even as a kid, I listened to all albums except Supercharger.
Yeah.
They just didn't do it for me. But what I enjoy of the new metal elements in Burning Red, I actually prefer what they do with Supercharger. Burning Red has more depth to it. Supercharger doubles the funny.
Okay, sure.
I'll happily go back to this album and listen to it.
Okay.
For my own personal enjoyment.
Okay, sure.
Recommend to someone like as an actually good album.
Yeah. Are you laughing at it or with it?
At this point, with it. Surely.
Okay.
I don't. I can't tell you any more than I had a really good time with this.
Hey, no, that's
did
all right.
Not expect to.
That's what I'm basing
already justified like why I like it with Burning Red.
Yeah. No, that's a fine justification. And I mean, I'm basing my entire ranking off like what I enjoyed.
Yes.
I did not enjoy this album even remotely as much as you did by the sounds of it. I chucked this at a C.
That's okay. It's not a D. I was expecting both of us to do like the DSD for Supercharger.
Yeah. Well. We'll get into why it doesn't hit the D, so to speak, later on. But for the time being, I mean, Bulldozer, absolutely, undeniably fun. American High is so fucking dumb.
Oh my god,
so fucking dumb.
So funny.
But I do have fun with the Tarzan,
dude,
chimpage at the start. Crashing Around You is like a kind of, it's such it's like a It's like Machine Head. This is where I kind of agree with you, them taking current trends and trying to do it. It feels like a lot of this material feels like it's trying to do Limp Bizkit or Korn or Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Like Crashing Around You sound all in your head. Deafening Silence all sound like Linkin Park songs to me. But Machine Head doing Linkin Park.
Yes,
and
yes,
I don't like Machine Head
it's
doing
rocky
Linkin Park.
And the melodies fall off so hard compared to Burning Red.
Yeah,
Burning Red has some of my favorite melodies, and that's off a new metal centric record.
Yeah,
that's a pretty difficult thing to do, I think, while maintaining all the stylistically appropriate dissonance and rhythmic things that new metal is built off.
Yeah.
Here, no rhythm, but I have no melody, all rhythm, but I would rather chuck this on for a rhythmic overdose than the More Things Change.
Okay.
Because I feel like they're more creative with what they do.
Sure. I think...
in a rhythmic department.
Burning Red is them doing new metal and all the things I like about new metal, plus all of the things I like about Machine Head. So I really like the Burning Red, whereas this feels like Machine Head doing all of the stuff that I feel guilty about liking new metal for. This is like I don't often use the term guilty pleasure to describe my enjoyment of things these days, but this I don't feel good about liking much about this album.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
This is a very this is a real. I might be overestimating this album. It may come back down to a C, but I put them together in C.
In B, you mean?
I put The More Things Change and Supercharger together in C.
Sure.
And
I just didn't feel right.
I went. I actually prefer what Supercharger does here. They're put pits again.
Yeah, and that's funny. Looking at albums side by side in a ranking is a good way to kind of distinguish what you do value about an album more than
because
another.
Supercharger is certainly not on the level of Burning Red either.
Yeah.
So it sits in a middle area for me. A B minus.
I think too something that we talked about, like Burning Red having these kind of raw and vulnerable lyrics. While also doing the new metal thing. Here, it feels like it's got this gross frat boy swagger while also talking about these kind of like vulnerable things. Like Trepanation is I just find it so yuck. Like it's this like I don't even want to do an impression of what it sounds like because I feel like it would be that distasteful. I'll put it behind a paywall. You can get my most disgusting, egregious shit behind a paywall. That's what we'll do.
Supercharger was definitely improved by the existence of another album. Previously, Supercharger was the definitive poo-poo album.
Absolutely.
That it has retroactively been upgraded because there are now worse lyrics out.
Spoilers, that is exactly why this is at a C. Because there are worse things than vulnerable frat boy rock.
Yeah.
Shall we move on? Well, let's see what chat thinks of this one, and let's enjoy the monkey riff as well. Hey Tundra, how you doing? I was never a big Machine Head fan. I've only really known their singles. Checking out more, Burn My Eyes. I am digging it quite a bit. Well, hey, hope you there's plenty to find in Machine Head that is good. They're a little. I mean, we do it. We meme on them. They're a little bit memey nowadays, but. There's plenty of love, and the joking, the ribbing is coming from that place.
I'm shocked by I'm shocked by my picks in B. Like these are some of the easiest D's I could give. I've gone speak out how we feeling right now.
Yeah. Poyo, if you're in chat, I'm curious to hear where you rank this one because you've previously cited Monkey Riff as S tier on its own. So I want to know where this album sits for you.
Yeah.
Keel says, so I'm guessing that Supercharger doesn't want the D. No, it does not.
I think it wants the D, and because it wants it so hard, it's been upgraded from economy class.
There you go.
It fits in with the bit of this album so hard.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Absolutely. All right. Now, off the thunderous success of Supercharger, Machine Head lost their US label, and this next album was only released internationally for them for the first 6 months. And this is Through the Ashes of Empires, 2003. Machine Head really fell apart for a few years, so it's remarkable that they were able to put an album out 2 years later.
Yeah.
Considering how they really just broke their own band down and
talk about
rebuilt it from the ground up.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe that's partially the title of the album. It's about themselves as a band as well as the current state of their country. And they have discarded the new metal elements and brought back the groove with a real thrash-centric approach. They looked at what made Burn My Eyes and The More Things Change work and doubled down on that with a refined production. And did it work? For me, absolutely. I'm putting this at a very solid A, an A+. One of their best records, in my opinion, and only doesn't take an S position because this is just setting the groundwork for how Machine Head are about to hit a golden age. This is a very, very stacked album. Let's hop over to the track listing, my dude, because it is powerful. Just swing that over. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Opening Imperium. Machine Head are so good at opening albums, dude.
Yeah, they are.
Some bands,
Even
build
with
their stronger material down the back,
albums.
but yeah, like they just know how to just put like the chunkiest riffs straight out there.
Yeah.
And this is where they start giving more grand build-ups intertwined into the songs.
Yeah, totally.
Previously, say, like 10 Ton Hammer and Davidian are cold opens.
Yeah, real hard.
Then they start putting the atmospheric 1 minute openers. Here, it's all intertwined into the song, and it's a wonderful build-up.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like it's not like a minute of an intro and then the song starts. It's a minute of the song starting.
Yes.
And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and I savor every second of it.
Yeah. There's not any point where I fall off the wagon for this release.
No.
If anything, for myself, only once again, it's that More Things Change influence with Allergy and Days Turn Blue to Grey.
Oh, okay.
That sort of slower burn down.
Sure.
Like head bang bait for sure. But these are long albums. This track's in at an hour. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Here they continue with the ballad exploration from Burning Red and ascend to descend the shades of night. And they just master melodies again after losing that from Supercharger, bring that back. And this is a new band. Same members, but new bands.
Absolutely, yeah.
Completely different approach to songwriting, production, and it all comes together in such a strong unity.
They got rid of those bloody silly haircuts.
Oish. And this is where, for me, McLean becomes an institution.
Yeah.
And such a massive asset to the band.
Yeah, for sure.
He's able to take control of the song structures more so. They're not just grooving along and playing, boppy 4/4 and jamming out new metal material.
He contributes.
This is very heavily structured and very intensely rhythmic material. Lots of like we're hearing right now, like those really tight triplets.
Exactly. I was going to say he contributes to the hooks as much as the stringed instrument players. Like it's you can sing his drum parts along with the song. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. I feel like Vim is just a 5-minute showcase of McLean.
Yeah, 100%.
That's one of my favorite tracks on the album. I would say that this album would be an S if we got the American release off the bat, but I'd say A for Ashes or S for Seasons Wither, because
so you're ranking this as like the release that we.
I'm gonna say because we both for context, after Machine Head jumped on a label, and recovered from.
Well, back on Roadrunner, right?
Yeah, they're back on Roadrunner, and to re-release, they wrote Seasons Wither, which is one of the greatest tracks they've ever written, in my opinion. Absolutely incredible. I did not hear it until I saw the Elegies live DVD.
Yeah,
and
likewise.
went, where is this from? Like, I'm holding this discography in my hands. It's not on here anywhere. What is this? And American only release. And
oh man,
so good.
Yeah,
so good.
Okay.
This is just setting the trajectory for Machine Head's best era.
Yeah, absolutely, and a fairly sizable era. Like if you count the first era being Burn My Eyes and More Things Change, that's only 2 albums, and then they go into butt rock ass new metal for only 2 albums. But I would say this era lasts almost up to now. We'll see where we come to the end of this, but it's pretty fucking strong. I would say the Burning Red opens with an intro track called Enter the Phoenix.
Yes.
They forgot to bring the Phoenix on that track because it showed up 2 albums later, dude. Rising like a phoenix through the ashes of empires, baby.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, man. I think this is. And I mean, I would rank this. I was listening to this as the version with Seasons Wither in there because I feel like that is the version they meant. Yeah, that's the version they meant to release.
Yeah.
I feel like we got dicked.
Yes.
Fucking hard by them withholding that track from our version. But even without Seasons Wither, I mean, I didn't have that version until so many years later. I would still rank this as an S without Seasons Wither in there.
Yeah.
There's not a track on here I dislike. I love the slow, huge, like pendulous riffs of like Days Turn Blue to Grey. Is one of my favorite tracks. Wow. It's a highlight for me. It's one of the first when after hearing the Blackening. I remember I used to always go to a website that still exists, allmusic.com. Yeah. And they would have like, the album reviews and stuff, and they would have a couple of like album highlights that, check these songs out if you want an idea of what this album has in store. And that was one of them, and I spun it over and over and over again.
Well, it's fair because the song's so nice that they put it in there twice with Elegy. So
I like them both, man.
Yeah.
And
they're just a bit too samey for me.
Sure.
But I'm being very pedantic on that one.
Yeah. And I mean, with I think the fact that it's broken up within the presence of my enemies, which is just so fucking hard, dude.
The end point of in the presence of my enemies is
mammoth
on your grave.
Yeah.
Massive.
Oh my god. And the kind of the chest thumping like powerhouse lyrics that we got on that were really kind of forward on Burning Red are here to just the greatest effect. I mean, Imperium starting with the fucking you're just like, yes,
every part of this album is so chanty, and the vocals, it's so easy to sing along to, and the music is more involved than ever and more complex, and the melodies are more complex, but so often the lyrics are just a dun dun dun.
It's
like it feels less built to be performed live.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've retained that from the Burning Red, and I mean it's there in its infancy on Burn My Eyes with Let Freedom Ring with a shotgun blast. But I think too they kind of retain the best elements of like the nu metal kind of delivery that he develops on the Burning Red with the breathing through the teeth and stuff like that.
That vocal grit and the guitar.
Yeah, and it's not rapped quite here. It's almost like spoken word, which comes back in a fucking big way later. We'll get to it, but on like Wipe the Tears or Left Unfinished, especially. I love this album, dude, dearly, and I can spin it over and over and over again. It's an hour. We've talked about this pretty extensively. I'm not a huge fan of albums more than 45 minutes long. I feel like 45 minutes is a sweet spot. That's how long I want my albums to go. If they're more than that, they better be rocking my shit for that whole hour, and this does.
Well, if you're into that groovy side, then there's not an even remotely mediocre track on here for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's fantastic.
Yeah, and at this point we've got the production and that clean, not too clean, but more modern sounding production.
And quite rude of me not to mention Demel joining at this point as well.
Yeah.
Such a massive contributor to why everything is so melodic and so tight. They have an incredible guitarist behind them. Demel is a powerhouse, Phil Demel, and adds so much to the dual guitar harmonies that are in this record, and all the acoustic material, and all those extra 1%ers on the instrumental detail through the strings. It brings so much to I feel like legitimizes the finesse that we're more than new metal. We can play with the best dogs.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it means that when they play live, they've got these tracks that are like huge, anthemic, and like intricately woven tracks. And you can also still have, bust fucking From This Day Out and have the pit bouncing and shit. It's best of both worlds.
Totally.
In a live set.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Chat, what do y'all think? Keel says, to quote a YouTube comment I saw, this is the We're Sorry About Supercharger album. I mean, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
It feels like, I don't know what was going on for Supercharger. I'm sure that like Rob seems pretty open and honest. I'm sure I've heard him talk about that period in his career and in his life on podcasts and stuff. I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to find him saying why Supercharger happened.
There's an EP released in 2000 called The Year of the Dragon.
I haven't actually listened to that.
Oh my dude, it has.
I think you've shown me actually. It's got like
some
an
of the
early
material
version
and some of the lyrics on there.
Yeah,
Woo!
right. Yeah.
When Rob is let off the chain lyrically, if he ain't singing about like some political corruption and starts talking about him in the hood, it gets wild.
Yeah, man. Look. It happens. It happens at points. The worst possible thing that can happen is for Rob Flynn to have an idea or have opinions on things.
Yeah. Let's keep it in the bag.
Yeah. And yes, Jack Rabbit, it was released everywhere but the US for 6 months. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And said, absolutely. If the album is not rearranging your guts for that whole hour, send it home. Clickety clack, his opinions are whack.
Sometimes his opinions can be on point, but his delivery.
That's the thing. His delivery is
because I do believe that his intentions are pure and true and noble.
Yeah.
What you go about it, brother?
Yeah, the delivery leaves something to be desired.
Absolutely. I could. This is what happens when I put Rob Flynn lyrics on my back. I have no fucking tact and just into a microphone.
Oh dear.
So I'm not to blame, okay? Even though that was my decision. Like Rob Flynn, I'll accept no responsibility for it.
Speaking of podcasts and Rob Flynn, I'm pretty sure Jamie Jarstar had Rob Flynn is my favourite rapper t-shirts at some point. Which is quite funny. Shall we move on?
Yes, let's
do it. Let's
move on to the Hour of Power.
Yes.
Well, I did talk of this album earlier, stating this was one of the albums that got me into metal. So this has very high expectations set for it. Once again, you mentioned that this is often high in the list of most celebrated albums of the 2000s.
Yeah,
for metal.
I'm certain I've seen it in multiple lists where it is number one.
I'd say like it's for me like Blackening, Shogun, Mastodon's Crack the Sky will often get up there. I feel like those, and maybe some Gajira.
I was going to say perhaps
from Sirius Mars.
Yeah, Mars Sirius or Wave or Flesh, maybe. Yeah.
But these seem to be the top 5 in some arrangement. You're going to see a bunch of these appearing, and I'm not going to be the one to refute that. That's for sure. It is the definitive Hour of Power. Yeah. And I had some concerns when this was the first album I went back to, when we decided, sat down after Trivium and thought, I'll put the Blackening on for old time's sake and see how I feel. And as soon as I heard that buzzsaw tone, I went, oh no. And I think I told you as well. I went,
you did,
oh my God, what? Wait, I don't remember the song sounding like this. I was like, oh shit, this might be really bad for past me right now.
Well, yeah, when you said that, I was unsure. I was
like, where's this going to go?
Yeah, I didn't know where Blackening was going to sit for you.
Thinking on it for a little while, and what they do, it's amazing that they can write. I'd say here, this is once again like a forward thinking, or if they're adding tribute to their styles, to groove and thrash, and death metal elements. They're all doing it with a great amount of rejuvenation and, if not reinventing the wheel, a way that they never have done it before and a way that few have since.
Yeah.
Is an immense and intensely melodic album, incredibly groovy and very hard to pull something like this off with the tones that they're using as well.
Okay.
Which is, I think, a large part of its unique identifier. There's the guitars are rather like scooped and thin. They're like, which was trending around the way of Crusade for thrash. It's sort of the only choice to go, but not for such intricate and extended parts. So the mix on this is absolutely phenomenal to make it feel as weighted and for it to feel as full as it does. And I think that's the biggest celebration of this album for me now.
Cool.
This is an album that has grown with me for 15 years now.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's 15 years. Crazy. And that's where I'm at with it currently.
Okay.
And it's been all sort of thing. It's been the lyrical content that's at one point, and another was the melodies, the counter harmonies, the rhythmic ballistic percussion.
Yeah.
But I think it's a masterpiece no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
And for Machine Head to go from where they have been or where they will go, it's a blessing that we got this record.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. This is S tier for sure. I don't think we're going to be, or I'm not going to be spouting any new takes on this.
No. This is very old.
Album
very
album
dry.
good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think
when album that good.
But I think it is that good because unlike what you say of the Burning Red or Supercharger or even Through the Ashes still has a little bit of that nu metal kind of that little bit of the nu metal trimming. This feels like it exists almost in a vacuum, like absent of any current trends of heavy metal. It's kind of like Shogun in that way. It's just this really pure representation of their loves of heavy metal. You know, I feel like this is an album that you could, when people say, oh, if you were to describe heavy metal to with one album, give it to someone who to show them what heavy metal is. I would say for the 2000s, I would probably be more inclined to give them this than Shogun.
I would as well. Definitely.
Yeah. Because I think, I don't know. This has
such a wonderful old meets new.
Yes, yeah.
With it, that it encapsulates the 80s explosion. Of thrash.
them hailing from
and them being Bay Area themselves.
Yeah.
It just feels like they are wearing the crown. This album.
Yeah.
They're fuck it, we'll put the crown on the album cover.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so lean too, where up until this point, I don't think they've had a song with less than 10 tracks. An album with less than 10 tracks. This is 8 tracks long.
Yeah.
Kind of bookended by the longest material. And I mean, no track on this album, I'd say for Beautiful Morning, is less than 5 minutes long. And previously when we've talked about this album, you've said that Beautiful Morning was the one thing on this album that you thought was stinky.
Yeah, that's a chip on the shoulder. I think it's because it's the most marketable, and I'd sit and I go, out of all the songs of the album, you pick Beautiful Morning for, say, Guitar Hero Edition.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's on Guitar Hero Metallica.
Yeah, and I'm like, you've got Aesthetics of Hate sitting right there, man.
Halo,
where's the Halo?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's more so from a marketability standpoint.
Yeah.
It's one of the less intricate pieces on the album, and I feel like it doesn't represent the album as well as some other songs.
Yeah, sure.
And because it's chosen, that's why I have that attitude.
Yeah, sure.
But really, that's just as good as any of the others. It fills the single slot wonderfully.
Yeah, it does too. I think lyrically too, this album is the best of what Rob Flynn has to offer. Like there's there's some poetry to it. I mean, the opening track, Clenching the Fist of Dissent, it's just like, ooh, that's a very nice turn of phrase. Like it's full of that kind of shit. But you also get the really fucking just vitriolic fucking anger on Aesthetics of Hate. And it's simultaneously this like this ball of fucking rage, this white hot rage, while also being a fist in the air tribute to Dimebag. Like, it's
all
good.
of the narratives on this album and the music are they feel so intrinsically linked. Like they're just so purpose written.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which
Halo,
is something
as a
appreciate.
critique of organized religion, sounds like that. You know, it sounds like it's aping off of the kind of I don't know, grandiosity that subject matter inspires.
Yeah,
it's fucking cool.
Aesthetics of Hate has this like Great Southern Trendkill aggression.
Yeah. It's
It
fucking,
all
it's fucking
fits
hostile,
so well.
dude. It's fucking hostile.
Well,
And Wolves is like just a tribute to Machine Head fans. You know, it's awesome. Huge fan.
It's a very true album. This one is Gatekeep Central for sure, but I feel it's sort of landed that way. But I think it can be a very inclusive album.
I think it is. I think ultimately, like, it's one that I would be excited to show someone.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally. It has fallen into that position. At least I perceive it in that sense.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
fallen into an album to keep it, you know, as it's such a pure representation of what.
Sure. Sure. I get you.
Of the history of Bay Area thrash.
Yeah. And I mean,
American
right
groove.
down to the artwork.
So well.
Even the artwork has, like, I see it. I remember getting the album, and it has that sort of artwork, that like line etching kind of stuff. It always looks like you're looking at something old world and forbidden and evil. You know.
I have this poster right next to myself in my own room. My own area.
Even the special edition one has great artwork too, with the like Lucifero like eating the fucking bodies and shit. Yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I look at this album and it has a weight to it. A gravitas to the whole package.
This cover I look at and as a point of inspiration, just for its contents.
Yeah. Anthony says, great album. Heck yeah. All right, let's get on to the next one, because I'm really keen to hear your thoughts.
Sure.
Really keen to hear your thoughts on this one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right, fire out that listing then, because I want to tear every song apart.
2011.
All right, so, 2011, we have Machine Head's Unto the Locust. How do they follow up the Blackening after they are propelled into success that like they've never received before? Two albums in a row.
They've
Through
gone
the Ashes propelled
like
them massively, and then the Blackening solidified them as a metal staple.
Well, they go from like
history.
A joke to like keepers of the faith.
Within two albums. Crazy. And through that, that's like losing their record label and everything. It's amazing. Unto the Locusts, In Waves Syndrome.
Absolutely.
Must be said for just the way I process albums. By the time Unto the Locust was released, I was nowhere near done with a Blackening. I was not so excited for the release of this album because I still had the Blackening on rotation every day. I was like, I don't want to hit this yet. And I've done this. I do the same thing with a few records in 2020. Even though going back now, Caligula's Horse. I did this with Bloom. They dropped a new record, and I didn't listen to it for about 9 months because I was so enamored with their existing material that I wanted to milk it for all that was worth first. So by the time that I got onto the Locust, it didn't carry that same excitement and gravitas. I'd set up such unrealistic expectations that I couldn't appreciate what was on this record. And I have cited as one of my least favourite Machine Head records.
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
It's The Blackening Part 2. And I can't believe I never saw it until this week.
Wow.
If this was reskinned Blackening 2, then I'd be, that's
very
it makes
interesting.
Sense. It makes sense. It's just as intricate, it's just as involved. I think they struck lightning twice.
Wow.
And I didn't notice it.
Fucking hell.
Until right now. Like, until this week.
Hey, I'm real happy
And
for you,
I
dude.
am fucking stunned.
Yeah,
and
man.
so disappointed in myself that I overlooked this.
Yeah.
In favour of spinning more Burning Red, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I am floored by this record. There's every now and then a record comes by when we do a TDF that just propels itself into S when I'm just not ready for it at all. And it's here again.
Cool.
I am. Like, I love it when an album blindsides me like this. It makes me feel so alive. There's not a note out of place on this record. Previously, there was a lot in here that I had little. I couldn't get my head around the acoustic portion of Darkness Within. But, oh my god, the lyrics in Darkness Within are fucking amazing.
Yeah,
They're so
yeah,
good.
dude. It's really
And
heartfelt.
I just never gave it credit. Who We Are, well, I didn't previously enjoy the. I think
little kid choir?
Are they Rob's kids?
Well, Rob's kids are involved in it, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. It's really nice. I think I've grown up a lot since this record came out.
Yeah.
And can now appreciate the message. And I just didn't have that before.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like, okay, it took 11 years. I'm finally ready for Onto the Locust.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool, dude. I'm really glad to hear that. I was really across this album when it came out. I did feel similarly when they released Locust as the first track off of it. They released like an advanced mix. And I spun it a lot, almost as like a way to readjust my expectations of what this album would be, because it couldn't possibly be the Blackening 2. And as far as I was concerned, in terms of the impact it was going to have, like the Blackening part of what made that such a gut punch was that it was such a surprise.
Yes.
Whereas here we're going in with expectations, and I thought they can't possibly be met. So I spun Locust over and over and over again, and grew to really, really like it. And then album came out, and I think it's almost the Blackening 2 in terms of structure. It's only 7 tracks long. It's bookended by the kind of longer material, but not quite. It's the shortest album of theirs by far.
Yes.
48 minutes.
Yeah.
Or 49. It's easy to spin, and there's not a dud track on it. I placed it at an A because I wanted to kind of differentiate it between Through the Ashes of Empires and the Blackening. Yeah. But I think it sits far above The More Things Change and the Burning Red. So I feel like I fucked up, and I should have put it in an S, honestly. Because it's just as like there's not a dud track on here.
No.
I think the Darkness Within and Who We Are and the kind of grandiose start of I Am Hell are perhaps like harbingers of what's to come in terms of Rob getting a little too up his own arse. Maybe. Perhaps. It could be... At this point, I think it's really genuine. Yeah. I think later on it becomes a pretentiousness, sort of. But here it's really genuine. Darkness Within is a genuinely beautiful love letter to heavy metal and music in general.
When I read those lyrics, I was... I was stirred. Something stirred in me. I went, I didn't know you were in there.
Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you like it. Yeah. I used to cite Pearls Before Swine as one of my least favourite tracks on the album, but going back to it for this, I was like, this is fucking crushing. What was I thinking? Who We Are, like that big chorus, this is who we are. It's just like, yes! Again, it's that chest pumping. I don't know. It's like... makes you feel proud to be a Machine Head fan and a heavy metal fan, you know? I
don't think I was ready for such urgent and intense music as Onto the Locust off the back of the Blackening. Blackening, it has a lot of time to breathe. Intense as Quenching the Fist of Dissent can be in portions, it pulls it right back as well. And and there's lots of just slow, chuggy
and I mean, A Farewell to Arms takes so long to build to its zenith, and it's great for it. But this, it's like, once they get through the kind of intro section of I Am Hell, it's fucking Blast City.
It's so much tremolo picking through that.
Ridiculous.
This is the end is unrelenting.
I think this would have been the first instance of me hearing that kind of like almost black metal inspired
picking. That droney tremolo picking. I was certainly not ready for it at the time.
That's where I first heard it, and it scared me.
Yeah.
And the kicks are like, we talked about Rain by Trivium being like, fuck, too intense when I first heard it. This was a few years later, but I still found myself going, oh my God, Dave, are you okay?
I didn't have my head around that aggressive tremolo pick at the time, and going back this week, I've gone, I say this week, but this month, going, where have you been?
And it's
I can't believe I flaunted 10 years or 10 plus years of opportunity on this album.
Yeah.
That's okay, because I'll have many more years of it to grow with this album some more. I'm
Totally.
really... this is one of my best most heartfelt discoveries of this list. Certainly.
That's really cool, especially for a band that you're so into.
Yeah.
The tremolo picking is in This Is the End as well for the chorus. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love all the like the vocal melodies and harmonies on this album are great. Be Still and Know is a wonderful I don't know, it's like that food for the soul, where it's like I put it on in my darkest hours. I'll put on Be Still and Know and Darkest Within and feel like I can get through it. It's it's powerful.
I never looked into the lyrics on this album. I really resonated with the topic matter of the Blackening at the time.
Yep.
I mean, shit, it's fish in a barrel, isn't it? Preaching America bad. In our year of 2007.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah. Here, I think it was a little introspective for me at the time.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
I didn't realize how sweet.
Yeah, I mean, Be Still and Know. If I'm remembering correctly, I feel like I read an interview with Rob around the time this came out, saying that it was inspired by like stuff his grandma used to say to him. That's really sweet.
Yeah, there is a real sense of family about this album, whether about your own cultures that you're in, or just the people around you. You be a part of your swarm.
Yeah, totally. And the title track Locust has, holy fuck, the biggest dick verse riff. Oh my God, beautiful.
Cheers.
Yeah, and ending with, like you say, family, literally ending with his kids singing on This Is Who We Are.
Totally.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah. A surprisingly wholesome album from Machine Head in the 2010s.
Yeah.
With a fat-ass bug on the front.
Well, that's the one thing I will say. The PS2 bug on the front,
they're like, you could do without Hopper.
I could do without Nightmare Hopper. Yeah.
we have a Bug's Life at home. We have ants at home. That shit is.
Yeah, totally. Oh, God. Let's see what chat thinks. Poyo Boyo says, S for Sufferer to the Locust. Yeah, nice. There we go. Good lad. Love Locust says, one of the few albums that I listened to as a kid in primary school that I can stand coming back to. Nice. Dad would play it on the way to school, and I have no doubt I was extra annoying whenever it was stuck in my head. Nice. Also, the Sentinel cover slaps. Deluxe edition. Yes, the deluxe edition of this album does have a fucking bitchin' cover of the Sentinel.
Don't believe I've heard that.
Yeah, Rob fucking rocks the Sentinel cover.
Awesome.
I feel like this, and I feel like he's talked about the Hallowed Be Thy Name cover being a kind of turning point where he had to learn to sing a bit more melodically.
Yes, right. Well,
and,
that was,
and it comes into play on this record.
Yes, the intensely melodic. When I first heard this, I felt like it was,
and it's melodic without
trying to reach the solos on the Blackening, the dual harmonies.
Yeah.
I think it eclipses.
Yeah. It's so intricate.
And I don't know if it reaches the same grand scale yet. I haven't built the relationship with the songs for me to feel that.
Sure.
But on paper, it's all there.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to put it into practice,
Yeah. I think Darkness Within as well, it's where we said like the Blackening feels like, and Through the Ashes feels like the best of Machine Head and everything that they've done up to that point. The Darkness Within has the kind of, you hear a little bit of that breathing through the teeth thing, but it's singing melodically and beautifully without much, I don't know, affectation.
Yeah.
It feels really emotive and pure and sincere. And fucking great album. I think I was wrong to put it at A. I would shift that to an S.
That's okay. I think I'd move Supercharger down to a C easily as well.
Righto. Well,
Like, just talking about the position, I'm like, no, you're right.
Sid would
That's
say-
okay. This is what happens when we speak a bit more sort of emotive and off the cuff of what we've been doing lately.
Yeah, totally.
We're very open to move these positions on the fly because we're just talking our own
That's it.
momentary experiences.
Yeah. Sid says, dare I say, defining album, mold, blueprint for you. Well, that's cool.
Wow.
What a bugger. That is a bugger. Bugger of a bugger.
But bugger of a cover.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
All right.
Right. Let's say I don't want to move on. I'm having so much fun with this album. But we can have a equally boring looking cover. Machine Head, Lords of the Boring cover. At least from a distance.
Sure. I quite like
Like
this one.
the little
the intricacies are nice.
Yeah. This one, not so much for me. I burned my eyes and Blackening still
Yeah, sure.
cut my mustard.
Yeah.
Bloodstone and Diamonds. All right, so this is Machine Head's 8th studio album released in 2014. Very big shoes to fill at this point. Off the massive success of Locust, I believe. Locust may be their best-selling record, more so than Blackening even. I'm not certain of that. But it's very, very high off the back of Blackening. Everyone was very interested to see where they'd go. And Locust has fueled that to a new level. And Bloodstone Diamonds, I was more around upon its release.
Yep.
I think by 7 years of Blackening, they went, okay, I think I'm ready for the next Machine Head album now.
You skipped Locust.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to give this album the benefit of the doubt and place it at an A. I'm not so much well-versed to say this is Ashes of Empires level. I'm putting this at an A with the same familiarity that I have with Ashes, and looking at its merits on paper, it feels the equivalent of.
Yeah, sure.
But in a different era. This is, to me, the twilight of this era of Machine Head.
Yeah.
Where they still have all of the components or most of the components of Blackening and Locust, but they're arranged in a way that isn't as palatable. Or perhaps the bit's getting a bit tired and tried.
Yeah, sure.
To the point where this album feels fairly contrived in parts and formulaic. It's amazing that they managed to have two albums do such a do what they did, sound so fresh. Here, maybe I don't know, just by the numbers.
Sure.
A lot of tracks. There's a lot to digest on here. I don't think it needs to be as long as it is, and there's not enough material on here for that just retains my interest. It is very flashy and quite technical, and I think that's one of its faults. I think they lose a lot of soul in these tracks, for lack of a better term. It doesn't feel like there's as much, I don't know, heart, or there's not, I don't know, the stakes don't feel as high on this record.
Yeah.
And I think it might be because it's more diverse in a way, that it's less focused.
Yeah,
If
certainly,
we look at
certainly more experimental.
Material like, and also a fair few tracks feel similar to other trailers. Like, okay, we're doing X popular track, but in the style of.
Yeah.
For example, Sail Into the Black. I can't help but compare it to Send the Shades. And I love Sail Into the Black. I think they might eclipse to Send the Shades. And it's a highlight of the album for me.
Okay.
They really let their production chops fly. They show that they've got a fat wallet.
Sure.
That's for sure, because the production of this is nuts.
Oh, it is. It's fucking gorgeous, dude.
Yeah, it's massive.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's kind of at odds with the rest of the album. I don't feel like it flows so well. And a lot of these songs live well in isolation, but as an album, I don't love the listen.
Yeah, sure.
That being said, the tracks individually, many of them have become some of my favorite tracks. Now We Die in Killers and Kings are cool. I'd say like they're pretty good. As openers, not quite the powerhouse openers.
No.
Killers and Kings, a bit of a, but it's hard to say why these aren't great songs. It's just in an album format they don't work for me so well. Ghost Will Haunt My Bones is really cool. Night of the Long Knives, I'm not sure, is it about the Manson killings?
Yeah, it's about the Manson killings.
Yeah, that's lyrically a bit of a weird one for me. I guess Rob's on his narrative.
Yeah, kick,
yeah, and it's a 50-50 for me with Rob doing narration. I don't know if you're a zero. We'll find out. But yeah, that one doesn't quite work for me. It's here. Rob's lyricism is pretty. It stands apart from the tracks.
Yeah,
I think there's not a great amount of unity here. On paper, all the guitars are super flashy and technical, but it's not emotive.
Yeah, sure. I feel you on all of that. I also place this at an A.
Yeah.
Because
this all sounds kind of damning. I've got a lot of negative to say, but it is quite an excellent album. This is just, they've set the bar so high at this point.
Yeah. They've set the bar so high, and it does sound a little bit like they are. As much as I put this at an A, but this is Bloodstone and Diamonds, dude. It is just too long, and they've got two. It's strangely paced. They've got Damage Inside at track 9, which is like this 3-minute Burning Red-esque interlude. And Imaginal Cells right after, a track later, which is like this 3.5-minute, again, bizarre interlude track.
It doesn't feel right on this album.
No.
It would have worked on Burn My Eyes.
Yeah, sure.
It's a realize kind of deal.
Yes, exactly. It feels like what they're in need of here is an editor. And this, unfortunately, I think is where... for Through the Ashes of Empires, it's like, all right, there's a clear goal, it feels like. All right, we've got to return to form of some sort. The Blackening is like, all right, we've gotten people's attention, let's make good on that. And then Unto the Locust is like, well, how do we follow that up with? What do we follow that up with? Let's do something really from the heart and just personal, and if it resonates, it does. And it did.
Yeah. And
this feels like they're starting to spin their wheels, and at least on this album, they're doing so in a way that's, I don't know, experimental in a good way. I think for the most part, I think Sail Into the Black is a weird one. It's 8.5 minutes, and it starts with this throat singing shit. And there's tracks like Beneath the Silt, which is this big fucking Deftones-y sounding track, but I love it.
I think the album order has a lot of explaining to do here. Yeah. I think this would be a better album with a rearrangement.
Yeah, a rearrangement and some scissors, and I think maybe you said about Rob's lyrics. I really like Night of Long Knives as a track, but the lyrics are a little awkward.
Yes.
And that's also, I think, apparent on some of the later tracks. In Comes the Flood is a cool track, but it's
an album highlight for me.
Lyrically, not so much for me, because it starts to get into America Bad, but without any of the subtlety or poetry that the Blackening has.
That's fair. And Game Over as well.
And
How do you
Game
do
Over,
fellow kids?
Dude, Game Over is literally, what did I fucking wrote this down. Game Over is fun as hell, which it is.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a musical friendship with Adam Deuce over. Now Jared McKieran is my best friend.
Yes, yeah. So worth mentioning.
Yeah.
That 20 years or 19 years with Adam Deuce at the helm.
On the bass, yeah.
Which is at the helm of the bass. Which is quite a formidable career, and it was an excellent bassist to what he did with them and put up with all that shit.
Yeah, totally.
You got to pull a bit at some point.
Yeah. I do think Take Me Through the Fire is a fucking sick closer. Really fucking big.
That's my favorite track on the album.
The production really elevates those songs as well, like that doom, 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 just massive.
Yeah, easily my favorite track.
Yeah.
Everything about that works.
Yeah. I think it's just in need of an editor, some rearranging and some rethinking of some of the lyrics. But it's still you know,
technically great.
yeah. It's a weird one to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an album I'm happy to spin. Just don't focus on it too much. You know, like it feels like I've put it on shuffle.
Sure. Yeah, there are songs I like to come back to on this.
Yeah.
But as an album, not so much.
I think this requires more thinking on my part as to why or what I want out of this album.
Sure. I would say like the first 7 tracks I'm really, really into. And then In Comes the Flood, the lyrics are too weird for me. I mean, the chorus is literally the chorus is literally him saying "Wake Up, America." It's so on the nose, like it takes me out of the song.
Musically, I love it.
Sure, musically, I really like it too.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. It's not the last time we'll be saying "Wake Up, America."
No, that's his shtick from here on out, and that's why I feel conflicted about this album, because it does feel like you said the Twilight kind of years of this era of Machine Head. Because I think
you think this is out.
Well, I think the fire that Through the Ashes kind of like started lasts until this album. This is the burning, like this is the flickering embers. And they're kind of fanning the flame, keeping it alive with some experimentation that does pay off in terms of like Sailing to the Black and stuff like that. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, the I don't know, it starts to creep in. The darkness starts to creep in. Let's see what chat says. Sed says, also love this album. Possibly one of the first albums I was ever hyped for, considering I don't exactly keep up with bands, and Dad was one who told me about it.
No, that's really cool. So this is your ground floor release. Nice.
Keel with a wake up sheeple. Yeah, totally. I think we have to get to the next one.
Can we say goodbye here?
I wish they'd just not this would have been a really this would have been a thing that
cool
you go
way to go. Thanks everyone.
Yeah. Because it does
we're
feel
not like we're the band isn't feeling it anymore. Context. Okay, so the band falls apart
right after
at the end of this touring cycle.
Yeah.
And everyone has a great idea of having a collaborative project where everyone writes a few songs together and set apart. On paper, it sounds nice. But Mr. Flynn comes in and catharts all over everyone's work.
Catharts, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's something else. This is a D for die already.
I'm just gonna join you in that.
There's no way to put and I think it was unanimously received. This makes me feel fondly about Supercharger.
This makes me exactly. This is why Supercharger isn't at a D, because as much as Supercharger is this kind of, to me, a little bit ugly, dopey kind of, I'm laughing at it. Nu metal butt rock amalgamation. It's at least consistent in that. This is just a fucking mess. This is a fucking mess.
Rob let his lyrical freedom ring with a shotgun blast. He just put grape shot and sprayed onto a fucking wall, and it just. Oh, I don't. Where this album goes in terms of its topics, very unfortunate.
It's fucked.
It's very unfortunate, dude. It's such a fucking mess. It reminds me of. It was the wrong. Rob isn't the right person to, with his existing history and his his history with drugs and political aggression. Not the dude to put in front of an open mic and let him spurt
spoken word.
Verbal diarrhea. That's pretty rough.
It's rough as fucking guts, dude.
Do you want to take the helm on this cons? Talking about the material.
I don't know where to start. It's 15 fucking tracks long.
Oh, it's so long. Why is it 15 minutes,
It's an hour and 15
dude?
minutes. This does not need to go for an hour and 15 minutes.
And this isn't like a special edition.
No,
this is 75 minutes.
I will say the special edition of this album is only worth buying because it comes with a really nice DVD of like a live DVD of like Evening with Machine Head performance. So it's like a really long set. It's really fucking good. But the album itself is just hideous.
Idea. do a special edition of Catharsis, but release it like 45 minutes, and that's your special edition. Just like clip half the album. Be like,
well,
pay us an extra $5 and we'll just get rid of most of it for you.
Even if you clipped,
there's nothing there. You can't leave anything.
You're just left. You would be left with maybe 35 minutes of really average Machine Head stuff, really average, unfocused, fucking dicking about.
Yeah,
you know, that's what this album feels like. It feels like
it sounds like Rob balanced life on a triple beam, and this was the result. And he could not balance that shit.
Yeah.
I will say I have actually quite come to enjoy Triple Beam in a way that sort of looped me around into going, hey, Supercharger's pretty cool too.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a bit of my heart in the old guard for Rob being a fuckhead. I do like.
Yeah, sure. Like,
about like talking about his narrative, like doing his King 810 shit.
Well, that's the thing. Triple Beam is clearly he listened to a bunch of King 810 and went, I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's so weird. The album starts with this like Slipknot-esque, like stomper, volatile, which is fine, but again, I'd rather listen to Slipknot. It doesn't sound like Machine Head, it sounds like Slipknot. Catharsis is this all too sincere,
it sounds like 4 songs mashed into one.
4 meandering songs.
And
the fucking breakdown.
Like every single section.
Fuck me, dude.
Every single part of that track
breakdown back.
Feels. People might talk about like Protest the Hero or Between the Buried and Me and go, oh yeah, it sounds like they glued 3 songs together. This is what it sounds like when you glue 3 songs together.
Absolutely.
It is so jarring.
Beyond the Pale, and there's no secret. Everyone kicked up a stink about it when it came out, but it's
Devi was nice about it.
Yeah, Devi was nice about it. It's Love by Strapping Young Lad. It's identical. The riff is fucking identical.
Yeah, you can't make that mistake.
No.
It's Love.
It's Love.
That's
and like, so you've got this like, fuck the world, like literally Volatile starts with him going, oh, fuck the world. It's like, oh, okay. And then Catharsis is this like, oh, fuck, oh, shit. And then California Bleeding, track 4 comes in with the lyric, I'm getting head near the Fresno sign.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
So fucking good, dude, the lyrics in this.
And then Triple Beam is this fucking, this after school special say no to drugs bullshit.
Yeah.
By way of King 810. Kaleidoscope starts with a fucking clapping fucking middle fingers in the air, I don't give a fuck. All that. It's this really weird, like, I don't give a fuck the world, but then like, can't we all get along? Don't let the bastards grind you down. Oh,
yeah.
fuck. It's
be bold, be brave.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. There's this great, I've talked about them before on this channel, but Banger TV, their YouTube channel, they do reviews and stuff. Their review of Catharsis is fucking hilarious.
Nice.
One of them does an impression of like the track listing for this album, and it's worth watching. It's fucking hilarious. In fact, we should chuck it on later.
For sure, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's mental. Screaming at Sun, man yells at Cloud.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, Behind a Mask, Heavy Lies the Crown.
Heavy Lies the Crown it's a long one, 9 minutes. And it's got this massive orchestral arrangement as well. It's got some cool riffs in there, but there are 3 tracks, I think, that are heavily orchestrated.
Yeah.
And it just, even sonically, it feels so disjointed because they had so many fingers in the pie where Rob only wrote a few tracks. Demel wrote a few tracks before he left, and he must have been giving some pretty weak material.
Yeah,
because he was on his way out.
I think it was Demel who said, like they've talked after leaving the band, they've talked pretty openly about their
experiences,
disdain for this album.
Yeah,
and that it just turned into
lyrics.
Like California Bleeding being a track that Demel like wrote the majority of the riffs for, and then Rob putting those lyrics to it, and him being like, oh,
yeah, he just checked out.
Give me my riffs back, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a sad affair.
Razor Blade Smile. You got the lyrics for that?
I don't, but it's supposed to be a tribute to Lemmy, and it's got like a lyric like mustache stinking like snatch or something like that, beard stinking like snatch. It's like, ugh. And I'm sorry, bastards. They do a similar thing on Slanderous, the track on the Blackening, where they use a bunch of. They incorporate slurs into the song.
Yes.
But in Slanderous, it's this like I don't know, it's this unifying kind of thing. I don't know, they make it work in Slanderous in a way that just does not work here. It's all too sincere and weird and tone deaf here.
Yeah, it's like they've appropriated folk punk.
It's fucking grotty. And I'm not here for fucking folk punk,
Yeah,
Rob.
why is there folk punk?
And then he did a spoken word version of it.
Punk. And then did an orchestrated version of the...
I haven't heard the orchestrated version.
Oh, it's called Eulogy, dude.
Oh, sorry. It's the outro. Yeah, sorry.
outro, yeah.
No, the outro is literally a recap of the worst fucking
moments
track on the album.
Yeah, it puts on the official release.
It's really baffling. And then from here on out, it's a handful. I mean, the band is not the Machine Head that put their best material out at this point.
No, and the band has seen so many lineup changes, so many forms.
Yeah. Some original members have come back. They've put some songs out since. They put an EP out last year.
But this truly feels like a corpse of a band.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people said this about Supercharger when it came out.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping if their track record's anything to go by, we could have the next best Machine Head album coming out soon. And I hope for that, because I really still, all of this said, I still fucking love this band.
And some of their recent singles are pretty good.
Yeah, so
They've put down cool. a bunch of singles since this album. And some of their most successful material, at least through social platforms.
Dude,
their social platforms, like which songs they get engagement on, baffle me. Just as an aside for like general.
I am still shocked that is there anybody out there is still their number 1
million
track
hits. Yeah, like by such a margin. Just
Really
their covers of Hallowed Be Thy Name and Battery, which are both great covers, but those two songs together eclipse the plays on Spotify of the rest of the Blackening combined.
Message in a Bottle's pretty high up there too.
It's on their top 10.
Yeah. But it's a weird one.
Machine Head is an enigma that you think you've solved the puzzle, and then you find a new dimension. And I can't wait to see where it goes personally.
Yeah, I'll say I'm excited. I hope it goes somewhere. I would hate for this to be the thing that caps their career off.
Yeah.
And they fizzle out releasing a handful of singles during a pandemic.
I've had my 25 years of burn my eyes on. Like, I've got the Locust. I do have the new Great Machine Head album.
That's true. You just discovered the
I've got
Locust
that right
actually
now.
good.
I'm stoked.
That's true.
So,
all right, well, let's get the poll going and see who won. New poll.
Beautiful.
Let's go.
So the
do you guys have any thoughts on Catharsis? Did anybody else actually listen to this album?
Did you enjoy it? Did the Kaleidoscope video clip make you feel like you were having some kind of hallucinogenic experience or psychedelic experience? Or did it look like a $200 little shitty clip?
Oh dear. Well, there's the list anyway. Have a look and let us know. I didn't after Dad's scathing review. Lol. Oh, I would love to hear Heath's take on Catharsis, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Brilliant. So the question to be asked, why else the poll is being voted on?
Yeah.
Are you did this exploration of Machine Head in 2022 serve you positively? Do you feel like you're more of a fan of their material overall after going through this? Or do you appreciate the band more?
I definitely feel less guilty about liking Machine Head.
So do I.
I think after Catharsis and all of that fucking palaver, I felt a little bit like... but coming back to this, I was like, no, you know what? Fuck it. Burning Red's sick. Like, I felt really, really good about everything previous to Catharsis, really. But Catharsis is such a fucking stinker. And there was the fallout from it, we don't have the same band anymore, so it's hard to think about. Yeah,
definitely. I feel like there is a weight off my upper back.
Yes, good. I'm glad.
I had some pretty, I don't know if I'd say a regret for sure over getting some of Rob's lyrics penned on me after probably in the last 5 years since Rob has been so very public on social media, just being a public fucking nuisance in a very frustrating way.
Yeah.
In way, just very cold takes.
Uncle
if
Rob.
you're going to be fun about it, sure. But, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, look at that. You won. This is like the third one in a row,
holy
dude.
Shit, dude.
Oh, my God.
Oh, damn.
I did
strong.
Yeah, I did not win any fucking favor on this
I'm telling
one.
you, dude, Supercharger and B. The people have spoken.
Look, I gotta say, looking at your list, I think that makes sense. Like, that feels like that's the list that the people want to see. You know?
Yeah,
People weren't ready for my fucking opinions.
Maybe in 2032.
I'm going Unky Cons on socials.
10 years, move Catharsis up to A and B.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it was... It's representative of where they were at the time.
You know what my problem in 2022 was? I was letting the bastards grind me down.
You were.
No longer. Thank you, Rob.
Please don't say any more.
All right.
Please do not continue the track.
Next episode.
Yes.
It's time for the audience pick. It's time for the audience pick, and we haven't put a poll up on Discord yet, so we'll do that immediately after this stream. So we'll put the poll up, and we'll call it by Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And
we'll do an announcement video.
We'll do an announcement video of some sort. Because, it's time for you guys to pick what we get subjected to for the next month. And we will see you on the 5th, I believe, of April?
Yeah.
Yes, so 5 weeks. So we've got a little bit extra time this time, which...
Yeah.
Shit, I mean, last time the audience picked a band, it was Opeth, and we were on that shit for...
13 albums, dude. We were on it for a while.
For a
13 albums
time.
of material that's almost an hour in length each.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Huh? Sorry, I blacked out for a second there. Holy shit. Well, yeah. I enjoyed this. This was fun.
Thanks so much, dude.
Yeah. Put it there. I'll get that belt, goddammit.
Oh, yeah, you will.
Yeah. And
if
chat,
the audience has anything to say about it.
yeah. And chat, thank you so much for watching. As always, we really appreciate it. We'll see you next month. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.